The City of Vandalia City Council meeting will now come to order, and we will have a moment of reflection followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, you've had an opportunity to review the council study session minutes of April the 16th, the council meeting minutes of April the 16th, the council special meeting minutes of April the 23rd, and the council retreat minutes of April the 23rd. Are there any corrections or revisions to those? Seeing none, they'll stand approved. We have no communication petitions or awards this evening, nor do we have any public hearings. So that brings us to comments from interested citizens. So if there's anyone in our audience who would like to make a comment, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and then your statement. Seeing none, we'll continue with the city manager's report. Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the city has teamed with Steve Reed State Farm Insurance of Vandalia to again offer its free shred day. This will take place on Friday, May 18th from 9 a.m. to noon in the municipal building parking lot. So city staff and staff from State Farm Insurance will assist citizens in unloading their cars, and Steve Reed State Farm Insurance will also distribute information and promotional material. Again, we hope to see everyone there.
Thank you very much. We have an action item this evening. That's the extension of time for Foxfire Sections 6 and 7. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So the developer of Foxfire Subdivision has requested a one-year extension of time to June 16th, 2019 for the construction of sidewalks on 5 undeveloped lots in the subdivision. 3 lots were developed in the past year.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the extension of the sidewalks in the Foxfire Division.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Ehler, second by Vice Mayor Herbst, that we do approve the extension of time for Foxfire Sections 6 and 7. Are there any comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. We have no old business this evening, so that brings us to our resolutions. And we begin with Resolution 18-R-36. Mr. McDonald.
A resolution declaring various items as surplus and authorizing disposal of such items.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. Department directors have compiled a list of items that staff would like council to declare as surplus and grant authorization to dispose of those items. The surplus items would be placed on gov deals or otherwise disposed of by the city manager as provided by law.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Your Honor, I move that we approve Resolution 18-R-36 as presented.
Second. It's been moved by Councilman Lewis, second by Councilwoman Farce, that we do approve Resolution 18-R-36 as presented. Do you have any comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. We have an ordinance in its first reading, and that's Ordinance 18-10. Mr. McDonald.
An ordinance rezoning property located at 3325 Stop 8 Road and 6196 Poe Avenue from Office Industrial Park and Industrial PUD to Highway Business and amending the zoning map of the city.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So we do have a rezoning request of 22.110 acres, being 6196 Poe Avenue, which is Scene 75, and 3325 Stop 8 Road, which is the former ITT building, from Industrial Planned Unit Development and Office Industrial Park to Highway Business. The purpose of the rezoning is to bring the existing Scene 75 Entertainment Center into zoning compliance, to allow for its expansion, and also to utilize the former ITT building for overflow parking. The subject parcels do not have a future land use map designation. The Planning Commission reviewed this rezoning request at its April 10 meeting and voted 5-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 18-10 in its first reading.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Gerhardt, second by Councilman Lewis, that we do approve ordinance 18-10 in its first reading. Are there any comments? Seeing none, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
yes,
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have an ordinance in its second reading, and that's ordinance 18-07. Mr. McDonald?
An ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances and resolutions as part of the various component code of the codified ordinances, providing for the adoption and publication of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances, and repealing codified ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So this ordinance improves the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances and resolutions that have been passed by council since the last update of the codified ordinances. The update will codify all pertinent legislation passed by council during 2017, as well as incorporating amendments to the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Oh, this is second reading, so I will open up a public hearing. So if there's anyone in our audience that would like to make comment about this ordinance, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and then your statement. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we approve ordinance 18-07 in its second reading.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Herbst, second by Councilman Gerhardt, that we do approve ordinance 18-07 in its second reading. Are there any comments? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
yes,
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have an emergency ordinance this evening, and that's 18-08. Mr. McDonald?
An ordinance to revise appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Vandalia, Montgomery County, Ohio, during that calendar year ending December 31, 2018, and amending Ordinance 1730 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So this this ordinance would amend 2018 appropriations as follows. In the general fund, an additional $115,300. $300 is for the purchase of tables and chairs for the Emergency Operations Center. $115,000 is a transfer to the Bond Retirement Fund for payment toward the land acquisition notes for Stone Quarry Crossings, and this revenue was from the sale of property to MAC in 2017. In the street fund, an additional $14,000. In the state highway fund, an additional $1,500. And in the permissive motor vehicle license tax fund, an additional $2,500. And that's related to additional expenses for the Bureau of Motor Vehicles audit that we have conducted by a third-party vendor. In the employee retirement reserve fund, it's a reduction of $26,000. As part of that, we do have an additional $49,500. These are additional expenses related to 2 unexpected retirements and 1 revised retirement payout. And then we also have a reduction of $75,500. This is due to 2 planned retirements that will now not take place in 2018. And the capital improvement fund is additional $60,500. $53,000 of that is to reappropriate funds that were originally budgeted in 2017 for LED lighting improvements at the rec center. This project now involves indoor and outdoor lighting improvements at the municipal building and fire station number 2. An additional $7,500, and this is for expenses related for the purchase of installation of wraps for downtown utility boxes. These funds will be reimbursed through a grant from DP&L. The Dixie Phase 3 State Infrastructure Bank Loan Fund is $51,113. And this is for expenses related to the SIB loan payment for Dixie Drive Phase 3. In the Stone Quarry Crossings TIF Fund, an additional $45,000. This is related to additional payments to be made to the Vandalia Butler Schools and the Peters Pike debt based on additional revenue into the TIF Fund. And the Bond Retirement Fund, $115,000. This is the transfer from the general fund. And this is for a principal payment on the land acquisition notes for Stone Quarry Crossings, again, related to the sale of land to MAC in 2017. And in the golf fund, an additional $26,000. And this is for additional expenses related to the rehabilitation of wells number 1 and 2 at Castle Hills Golf Course.
Thank you very much. Since this is a The emergency ordinance, I will open a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience who would like to make comment about this emergency ordinance, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and then your statement. Seeing none, I will ask for a motion.
I move that we approve ordinance 18-08 as an emergency.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Farr, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve ordinance 18-08 as an emergency. Are there any comments? Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have an additional emergency ordinance this evening, and that's ordinance 18-09. Mr. McDonald.
An ordinance enacting new Chapter 1031 entitled Areas Designated for Underground Utilities to Title II Streets and Sidewalks of Part 10 Streets, Utilities, and Public Ways of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Vandalia and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So on July 2nd, the governor signed House Bill 478 regarding, I'm sorry, I don't know why I wrote July. I'm sorry, on May 2nd. The governor signed House Bill 478 regarding small cell facilities that may affect the city's ability to require certain underground structures within its right-of-way. Again, this ordinance will prohibit public utilities and cable operators from installing above-ground structures and facilities in the right-of-way and the areas that have been identified by the city, and these areas are designed solely for underground utilities. This designation is required to be in place 90 days prior to any application to install a structure or facility. House Bill 478 does not become effective until July 31st.
Thank you.
At the July forum.
Since this is an emergency ordinance, I will open a public hearing. So if there's anyone in our audience who would like to make comment, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and then your statement. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move that we approve ordinance 18-09 as an emergency.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Ehlers, second by by Councilwoman Farce, that we do approve the emergency ordinance 18-09. Are there any comments from anyone? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. We have a variance request tonight, and Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. So Toby Gannell at 823 Roxana Drive is requesting a variance to allow the construction of a 7-foot by 16-foot patio cover on the front of his house. The subject house currently has a front yard setback of 30 feet, which is the minimum permitted in the RS4 single-family district. Architectural features such as canopies are permitted to project not more than 3 feet into the front yard. Therefore, a 4-foot front yard setback variance is necessary to accommodate this patio cover. The BZA reviewed this request at its April 11th meeting and voted 3-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you. I see that the applicants are in the audience. Did you want to say anything?
I'm ready to sit on the patio.
As long as the weather holds out, right? Okay. Is there a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve the variance at 823 Roxana Drive.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Blakesley, second by Councilman Gerhardt, that we do approve the variance requested at 823 Roxana Drive. Any comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhardt,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. Enjoy. We have a number of minutes here from our various boards and commissions. We have the Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of March the 28th. We have the Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of April the 11th. We have the Emergency Operations Committee draft minutes of April the 16th. Public Art and Vandalia Committee draft minutes of April the 17th. The Vandalia Civil Service draft minutes of April the 30th. the Vandalia Cultural Arts Committee draft minutes of April the 17th, and the Vandalia Records Commission minutes of October the 10th. Do you have any questions or comments about any of those?
I do on one of them, the Vandalia Records Commission. I noticed that there could be some discrepancies that Ms. Brzezinski called the meeting to order but was on the absent list. I didn't know if you noticed that. And I think Karen Steinke would be interested to know she has a twin. She's on the list twice. Other than that, I noticed the civil service had a 6-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
I like that.
Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. The bill listing for March is in the amount of $2,868,106.37. And that brings us to council comments. Mr. McDonald?
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Cruzy?
Just one quick item, Your Honor. Again, we had a successful neighborhood beautification day on Saturday. We had some folks from Superior Abrasives helping us out. Again, Rumpke did a tremendous job with the crew they had out there picking things up, as well as our Parks and Recreation staff, Public Works staff, and other city staff members that are out there helping. So I'd like to just thank everyone for their hard work.
Great, thank you. Councilman Forrest?
Just wanted to let everybody know that through May 23rd, the Butler Senior Art Show is displayed in our exhibit area in the lobby of this building. And it's open to the public from 8 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's 8 seniors from Butler with about 7 pieces each. So it totals about 56 different pieces from their time at Butler. So it consists of them being freshmen through seniors, but they get to do that when they're a senior. So if you get a chance, stop in and see their work. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Lewis?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Councilman Ehlers?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilman Gerhard?
No comments tonight, thank you.
Councilman Blakesley?
Just one real quick one. Congratulations to Kurt Althouse, named as police chief. I was at his swearing in last week and had quite a following there. And I knew he had a long resume, but it wasn't until the people in this room that could substantiate that. It was quite impressive. So I think made a good choice, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Herbst?
The only thing I wanted to do was, again, as the others mentioned, just thank those that volunteered and helped with the beautification day here this past Saturday. A good, strong turnout, and I think we did a lot of good.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. I also would like to chime in on that. It was a great event, and just to thank every single person that was part of that, because there was some heavy lifting going on, but the results were fantastic. So another thing that I know that I have been getting a number of complaints about the Dayton Daily News in their packet with their ads and so forth being thrown into yards, the right-of-way, the street, and so forth, and it's not on a regular basis, and it's something that we have not asked for. So I know that we talked about that in our workshop earlier this evening, and we will be, and we're looking into certain things. We've already contacted the newspaper, but apparently it went on deaf ears, so that's something we'll continue to work with. The next thing is that it's recommended that the council adjourn to the executive session to discuss or consider the possible purchase of real property and to consider the employment, discipline, promotion, or compensation of a public employee, more specifically, matters relating to the performance evaluation of our city manager. So I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Lewis, second by Councilwoman Forrest, that we do adjourn into executive session. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gerhard?
Yes.
Councilmember Faust?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Ehlers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Herbst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and with that, we will adjourn into our executive session.
Still have time. Yep.